Have you ever felt like your mind has turned against you? Like no matter what you try, nothing excites you anymore? Like even the things you once loved feel empty? That is not a failure. It's your brain sending you a signal, a silent plea for attention, care, and understanding. Every mind has seasons. Sometimes it blooms, and sometimes it wilts. But when your brain loses interest in everything, your work, your passions, your relationships, don't blame yourself. Don't think you are broken. The truth is, your brain is overwhelmed. It has been living in overdrive, drowning in comparison, stress, fear, and too much noise. It is asking for rest, for direction, and for meaningful connection. The moment you understand this, you shift from frustration to clarity. You start seeing that regaining your spark is not a mysterious magic, it is a process, a conscious practice of rewiring your mind with love, focus, and discipline. Today, we will explore powerful ways that can restore the excitement, the energy, and the engagement your life deserves. Recognize the root, awareness before action. The first step toward reigniting your interest is awareness. Awareness is not judgment, it is understanding. When your brain withdraws from life, when nothing seems stimulating, it is often sending a quiet message. Stress, overthinking, and emotional overload slowly strip away your natural curiosity. You may scroll endlessly on your phone, jump from task to task, and still feel empty, as if the colors of life have faded. Becoming aware means stopping the autopilot and asking yourself deeply, what am I feeding my mind? What am I starving it of? It is the gentle act of noticing patterns, observing your emotions, and understanding why your energy wanes. Awareness allows the fog in your mind to lift just enough so that you can see the roots of your disinterest, and when you see the roots, you begin to reclaim control over your mind's natural engagement. Often, our brains lose interest because they have been neglected in subtle ways. Emotional wounds, unprocessed sadness, fear of failure, or constant comparison quietly suffocate the mind's passion. Awareness is the mirror that reflects not only your behaviors but also your hidden needs. It is the understanding that lack of interest is not laziness. It is a signal that your brain is depleted and desperate for nourishment. By observing your thoughts without self-criticism, you can uncover the hidden stressors and mental clutter that keep you disengaged. This process of observation is a form of self-respect. It is telling yourself, I matter enough to understand what is going wrong inside me. And this self-respect opens the door to transformation. Awareness also helps you see the moments of your life you have overlooked. Even in disinterest, there are tiny sparks, things that once brought joy, curiosity, or excitement. Awareness helps you identify these sparks and gently rekindle them. It is a patient, tender practice of observing without expectation and understanding without judgment. In this space of awareness, your brain begins to recognize that life is not meaningless and that engagement is not lost forever. Awareness is like sunlight for the mind. It nourishes dormant neurons, awakens motivation, and prepares the brain for action. Finally, awareness transforms your relationship with your thoughts. Instead of fighting disinterest or labeling yourself as broken, you accept it as a signal and respond with intention. You begin to understand that the more you honor your mind's messages, the more willing it becomes to cooperate, to engage, and to seek joy again. Awareness is the foundation of every other step you take to reclaim your mental vitality. Without it, every effort to restore interest becomes fleeting and shallow. By paying attention, you are giving yourself the gift of insight, clarity, and a path forward. And once you are aware, the mind begins to remember how to care for itself naturally. Restore energy. The body feeds the mind. Your brain does not exist in isolation. It is inseparably connected to your body. And when your body is depleted, your mind loses its sparkle. Often, we focus entirely on mental strategies to restore interest and forget the simplest truth. Energy fuels engagement. Lack of sleep, poor nutrition, dehydration, and inactivity silently drain your cognitive and emotional reserves. A tired body sends signals of fatigue to your mind, dulling curiosity, dampening motivation, and turning even simple tasks into heavy burdens. Restoring energy is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Every action you take to nourish your body directly revitalizes your mind. A single walk under sunlight, a few minutes of deep breathing, or a balanced meal can shift your mental landscape from gray to vibrant, allowing your thoughts to flow freely and your passions to re-emerge. Movement awakens the mind in ways you may not realize. Exercise does not have to be grueling. Gentle, stretching, dancing, or walking increases blood flow to the brain, delivering oxygen and nutrients that your neurons crave. This physical activation releases dopamine and endorphins, the chemicals that light up curiosity and motivation. Your brain begins to recognize life as an opportunity rather than a routine. Energy restoration is also about consistency. The mind responds to patterns. When your body receives regular care, your brain trusts that it is supported, and gradually, the dull haze of disinterest lifts. A mind that is well nourished through movement, rest, and proper nutrition begins to awaken naturally, rediscovering joy in both ordinary and extraordinary experiences. Equally important is nutrition. Whole, balanced foods provide the building blocks your brain needs to fire effectively. Hydration replenishes neurotransmitters, restores focus, and prevents the lethargy that often masquerades as disinterest. Even small, mindful choices, choosing water over soda, vegetables over processed snacks, movement over prolonged sitting, send signals of care to your brain. It begins to respond with increased alertness, motivation, and engagement. Your mental fog begins to dissipate, replaced by clarity and renewed willingness to participate in life. Finally, energy restoration requires patience and attention to subtle signals. When you honor your body, your mind starts to honor itself. Fatigue transforms into vigor, apathy becomes curiosity, and disengagement turns into active involvement. Restoring energy is a process of listening, nurturing, and responding to the needs of your physical self. By doing this, you create a feedback loop. A healthy body cultivates a lively mind, and a lively mind encourages further care of the body. Energy is the soil in which interest grows, and when nourished consistently, your brain cannot help but bloom again, finding excitement and engagement in ways that feel effortless yet powerful. Reconnect with purpose. Why you wake up matters. When your brain loses interest, it is often because it has lost a sense of purpose. Purpose is the compass that guides attention, energy, and engagement. Without it, life feels repetitive, dull, and meaningless. Your brain craves significance. It wants to feel that what you do matters, that your actions have impact, even if small. Reconnecting with purpose is not always about monumental achievements. It is about aligning your actions with what feels meaningful to you. Purpose transforms the mundane into the extraordinary. Even small, intentional acts, a kind word, a creative expression, a step toward a personal goal provide the brain with motivation and reward. Without purpose, engagement falters, curiosity dulls, and disinterest thrives. When you rediscover purpose, your mind begins to respond with energy, clarity, and excitement. Finding purpose begins with reflection. Ask yourself, what matters to me? What sparks even a tiny feeling of joy, accomplishment, or connection? Often we chase others' expectations or succumb to external pressures, forgetting our own intrinsic desires. When the brain is disconnected from personal meaning, it interprets every task as a chore, every day as repetitive, and every goal as meaningless. Reflection allows the mind to realign. By examining your values, passions, and priorities, you can identify the activities that genuinely light your inner fire. This alignment is the soil in which interest regrows. When purpose is clear, the brain produces dopamine naturally, reinforcing engagement and creating momentum toward further action. Purpose also gives context to effort. When your brain knows why it is working, it perceives challenges as meaningful rather than draining. Tasks that once felt monotonous gain significance because they are part of a bigger picture. Even small wins become motivating milestones, nurturing a sense of progression and satisfaction. Without purpose, effort feels pointless. With purpose, even the hardest work becomes meaningful, energizing, and fulfilling. Purpose acts as a bridge between thought and action, intention and engagement, providing the brain with the direction it needs to reignite interest and enthusiasm. Finally, purpose is cultivated daily. It is not a single revelation but a conscious practice. By taking intentional steps aligned with your values, your mind begins to associate effort with reward. Curiosity returns, creativity flourishes, and engagement naturally grows. Purpose reminds your brain that life is not a gray routine to endure, but a canvas to explore, a story to write, and a journey to embrace fully. It gives the mind a reason to wake up, to participate, and to fall in love with living again. Limit noise, focus creates interest. In the modern world, our brains are constantly bombarded with noise. Notifications, endless scrolling, background chatter, and constant demands pull your attention in every direction, leaving the mind exhausted and disengaged. Disinterest often emerges not because you lack desire, but because your focus has been stolen, diluted, and scattered. The fourth key is to create intentional space for your mind. By limiting noise, you provide your brain with clarity and the opportunity to concentrate on what truly matters. When you reduce distractions, even ordinary tasks become immersive. Your brain begins to experience the satisfaction of deep engagement, reigniting the curiosity and excitement that were lost in the chaos of overstimulation. Focus is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows stronger when trained deliberately. Creating focus requires courage and discipline. It is about making intentional choices every day to protect your attention. This might mean turning off notifications, setting boundaries with people who drain your energy, or scheduling uninterrupted time for tasks that matter. The mind thrives on consistency, and by establishing patterns of focused attention, you rewire the brain's reward system. Each moment you immerse yourself fully in a single activity, your neurons fire in harmony, strengthening motivation and reducing the mental fatigue that comes from multitasking. Your brain begins to associate concentration with pleasure and fulfillment rather than struggle, slowly reclaiming its natural ability to engage deeply with life. Limiting noise also allows you to reconnect with your inner voice. When the mind is constantly overstimulated, it loses touch with intuition, creativity, and inspiration. By creating quiet, intentional spaces, you allow your thoughts to settle, ideas to emerge, and solutions to appear naturally. This is the space where interest is reborn, not by forcing excitement, but by letting it arise organically. Silence, stillness, and focus give your brain the environment it craves to process, prioritize, and engage. In this calm, the world regains its color. Even simple tasks feel meaningful, and your ability to participate in life expands exponentially. Finally, focus is transformative because it teaches your brain that you value your own attention. When you limit noise, you honor your mental resources, demonstrating that engagement is a priority. The brain begins to respond with increased energy, clarity, and resilience. Slowly, apathy fades, boredom diminishes, and disinterest is replaced by purposeful involvement. Limiting noise is not about escaping the world. It is about creating a bridge between your mind's natural curiosity and the external environment, giving interest the space, time, and conditions it needs to flourish. Focus turns the ordinary into extraordinary and reawakens the spark that was always inside you. Ignite curiosity. Small steps, big shifts. Curiosity is the hidden fuel of interest. When your brain loses engagement, it is often because it has stopped exploring, stopped asking questions, and stopped seeing the beauty in learning. The fifth key is to cultivate curiosity intentionally. to give your mind reasons to light up again. Curiosity does not demand grand actions or sweeping changes. It begins with small, deliberate steps, reading a page of a book, observing something new, experimenting with a hobby, or asking questions that challenge assumptions. Every tiny act of exploration triggers the brain's reward system, producing dopamine and reinforcing engagement. Curiosity is the gentle spark that reminds your mind of the pleasure of discovery, the thrill of possibility, and the joy of learning anew. Reigniting curiosity also requires courage because it often pushes you beyond comfort zones. Your brain prefers routine, familiar patterns, and safe habits, but true engagement emerges when you explore the unknown. Asking questions, trying new approaches, or experimenting with ideas invites your mind to think, adapt, and respond. This is how interest is restored, not by waiting for life to become exciting, but by deliberately creating conditions for exploration. Every attempt, even if imperfect, strengthens the brain's capacity to feel excitement and see the world as a playground of opportunities. Curiosity is the bridge between apathy and engagement, a consistent reminder that life is meant to be explored, savored, and experienced fully. Curiosity also transforms the way you perceive challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as burdens, the brain begins to view them as puzzles, opportunities, and lessons. This shift rewires thought patterns, replacing monotony with enthusiasm, frustration with creative problem solving, and boredom with exploration. Even familiar tasks gain novelty when approached with curiosity. The world begins to feel alive again because your mind has learned to find meaning in the details, excitement in the process, and joy in small discoveries. Curiosity is not an occasional act. It is a mindset, a lens through which the brain reconnects with its natural vitality. Finally, the cultivation of curiosity is a lifelong practice. Each small step, each moment of inquiry adds momentum, gradually transforming your mindset and mental landscape. As your curiosity grows, so does your engagement with life. Disinterest fades, energy returns, and your mind remembers the delight of active participation. The simplest acts of exploration become profound catalysts for motivation, creativity, and purpose. By igniting curiosity, you are not merely fixing a disengaged mind, you are awakening a brain capable of joy, discovery, and endless fascination, teaching yourself that interest is never truly lost, but always waiting to be invited back with care, intention, and courage. In the end, when your brain loses interest in everything, it is not a sign of weakness or failure, it is a message, a whisper from within asking for attention, care, and understanding. By becoming aware of the roots of disengagement, restoring your body's energy, reconnecting with purpose, limiting distractions, and cultivating curiosity, you are giving your mind what it has been longing for: space, clarity, and nourishment. Every small action, every intentional step reminds your brain that life is meant to be experienced fully, that excitement, joy, and fulfillment are not lost, but merely waiting for you to invite them back. Your disinterest is not permanent. It is a call to realign, recharge, and rediscover the beauty of living with attention, intention, and heart. The journey to reclaiming your brain's engagement is a path of patience, courage, and consistent practice. Each day you choose to honor your mind, nurture your body, focus your attention, and explore the world with curiosity. You awaken the dormant sparks of interest that were always inside you. Life begins to feel vivid again. Challenges become opportunities, and even ordinary moments regain their color and significance. The power to reignite your interest is within you. It is a choice, a commitment, and a promise to yourself that you will no longer settle for apathy. You are capable of transforming mental fatigue into mental vitality, disengagement into passion, and disinterest into a profound joy for life. Because the mind, when cared for with love and intention, can always bloom again.